Mr. Bojangles dance. Welcome to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, a podcast that deals with the early life of J.R. Hendrick. And now in narrated format, J.R. and Jimmy, as they go down the episode, the final stretch, part 1. Okay. So it's 6 a.m. Eastern. 5 a.m. Central. Outside by the fountain of the Hendrick Mansion in D.C., family and friends are having refreshment and drinks as they listen to country singer Terry Lawrence sing her new hit single. She Left Me a Sin. And that's a heck of a country song title if I ever heard one. The party broke out in one thunderous applause. Well, I might say that's some pretty singing from Pretty Little Lady, Claude said. And Tom says, yes, I might say so myself. This chair's uncle. Hey, Tom. I've been wondering where Jim wandered off to. Because I wanted to talk to him about a land deal. And Tom says, well, I don't know. He's pretty anxious to get to the airport. So, meanwhile in Lubbock, it's 5 in the morning. And JR is studying in the living room in his dorm. And his cell phone rings. Look, it's 5 in the dang morning. And it's Chuck. And Chuck's all cocky. Like, you don't know me, but I know you. James Ryan Hendrick Jr. I want to see you ASAP about Allison. He's like, hell, I can meet you right now. And JR's like, no, Orlando's at 6 tonight. Let's settle this once and for all. That pesky Chuck, Now, it's 6:10 a.m. Eastern. A Cadillac stretch limousine pulls out in front of the Hendrick Mansion in Chevy Chase. Jim, let's talk another land deal. And Claude says, Sarge is the one you want to talk to while I'm away. He's wanting to business right now that I am. See y'all later. And Betsy's inside the car. And Christine's the first one to wave Jim And Jim, he motions for the driver to step in it to go to the Reagan International Airport. So they peel out. Goodbye, Jim. Now, Small Business Week was meant to be in Detroit, wasn't it, JR? Yeah, but they were expecting some snow and thunder snow, so they moved it to Raleigh, North Carolina. 6:45 a.m. Eastern. The charter jet carrying Jim, Betsy, and Senator and Mrs. Alex Roming departs from Reagan International Airport for the Raleigh East Airfield. Jim has strategically put it there because, well, John Dustin was in Raleigh, and he didn't want him finding Betsy and making trouble. Oh, but he'll be coming around making trouble pretty soon enough. 6:30 a.m. Central. A choice of boiled eggs, cinnamon rolls, or oatmeal was available at this candlelight ceremony breakfast at the Holy Spirit Club. Well, I sat down with Brent Clark and C.V. Coleman. And Brent's like, why did you abscond again? I thought Charlie got a hold of you. Oh. And C.V. said, look, he did. Sony was working the front desk Thursday at Smead, and he went back to Gordon and saw Charlie knocking on JR's door. And no, it wasn't about smoking pot. It was about making amends and demanding an apology from Harmon about the debate. I need to move on. Harmon will move on to be somebody else. Moving on to bigger and better things. Okay, first of all, Brent, another smart aleck comment. I have been waiting to ring this bell. You're about to get schooled. Anybody does that smart. Okay, so here's... And so Jay's like, I'm moving on to bigger and better things. So Sterney comes and sits with him and says, with the American Conservative Union. And he says, hello, guys. And so CV said, where's your internship? And he said, Institute of Policy and Innovation in Irving. Goes well for my MBA. And great for my resume for law school. Stoney wants to be credentials. Okay, so it's 10:15 a.m. in Raleigh. At Raleigh First Assemblies of Christ, Jim, Betsy, and Senator and Mrs. Bromley are attending Sunday school after communion service. The names here. Sister Candace Joseph's delivered the Sunday school teaching in the New Testament. Okay, 1 p.m. Eastern. Still in Raleigh. The SBA Convention Parade begins in downtown Raleigh. A delegation from Tallahassee and Tampa ride together on a little flotilla. A small group from Detroit ride away in a Chrysler minivan with the State Association logo put on the side of the car. And the leaders of the Texas delegation are riding in a large Cadillac stretch limo convertible. No doubt the top down. Okay, 2 p.m. Eastern, still in Raleigh. Jim had been invited to stay in the North Carolina home of Walt Lipscomb. He's a commentator and, might I say, in some ways, very wealthy. He's watching the Blake Carter show when he gets a call, and it's from Claude. The phone conversation is not very pleasant. We'll skip on here. JR, this is an interesting part for you. It's 3 p.m. Central. JR's in his dorm living room, and 5 little cats come to the door. And Charlie, he's being like, hey, let's be friends again. Please don't kick me out. And so JR lets him in, and he notices that JR's in shorts. He reaches for his knee. Okay, let me see it and feel it. And I was pretty mad. I was like, And Charlie says, I want to see if it's healed. And just being Harmon, he's caretaker that was hired by Daddy to look after me. He walks in. And he's like, will you get out of here? And Carl walks in. What the hell is going on? Junior, get dressed. I'm getting you out of here. And he says, I gotta meet this guy. Orlando's at 6. Okay, then, that's just what's going on. Okay, Charlie. Charlie wanting to feel that one. Charlie. You're about to get schooled. When JR is relaxing, trying to chill, don't be bugging the hell out of him. So it's 5 p.m. in Raleigh. And Betsy's in the Lipscomb parlor having tea. her cell phone rings, and it's Donna. And she said, Carl and I had to step in and protect Junior from Charlie, Donna said. And Betsy's like, oh, thank God. Jim called our accountant, Paul McGuire, and he said it's going to pull out all of our stocks and Nation's financials. One thing that Daddy taught me when I married Jim, this one thing, you either on our side or we vanquish you. Oh no, don't. I'm not talking about vanquishing you, Donna. I'm talking about vanquishing the people who have hurt my husband and who have hurt my son. Okay, so it's 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's a breakout session. Convention Raleigh. Jim and Rhett and Betsy and Senator Mrs. Romney are at a breakout session. The breakout session is called Customer Service in Commercial World. Okay. 6 p.m. Central. This is what the interesting thing is. It might want to. I got some drinks around here somewhere. I may get me some root beer. So it's Orlando's, okay. Chuck beckons. He beckons JR to sit down at a booth right near where his family's sitting. And he said, Hendrick, okay, what are your intentions towards Allison? And JR, man, he's not a deer in the headlights. He's like, Chuck, I'm a man of honor, a man of my word. I just want to see her one more time before you ride off into the sunset with her. See, JR knows what's up. He might have had feelings for her at one time. But if you remember in the last episode, she came to him and said, look, I'm sorry, but in some ways, I can't very much see you or have anything to do with you anymore. See, that's the thing. She had dumped Chuck. Well, for one reason. JR. Well, it was because Jennifer Bowers had declined my marriage proposal. And, of course, she was trying to finesse me. But she saw I was okay. Okay. And Chuck said, also told me that there was nothing between you and her. You two. Just friendship, Chuck said. It's only a matter of time after we arrive in Bedford that I asked her to marry me. She told me how decent you are. And after seeing you today, I see that she was right. Just one more time, that's all. Okay, so it's 10 p.m. Eastern. And it's a small business conclave. Wealthy people in America took place in the home of Republican Congressman Tracy McClintock. It's a 60-year-old congressman ran for Congress in 1968, and he supported the Vietnam War. In October 1977, the congressman sponsored the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977, which nearly passed the House by a large, but won by a large majority in the Senate. This, no doubt, gave Congressman McClintock some serious criticism, and he won in 1978 by only a small majority. 2 weeks ago, Tracy had promised Jim that in January he would sponsor another faith-based initiative bill for small business in the U.S. House. And he would see to it that his North Carolina colleagues in the Senate would help pass it. Okay, so there you go. It seemed like a lot of April 30th was given to the dad. Okay, May 1st, 1:25 a.m. So Jim is in the Lipscomb family chapel in the basement, sitting down with what seems like almost like a brand new King James Bible, given to his father James Ryan James Hendrick, May 4th, 1925. Jim notes that he doesn't think that Ryan really touched him. Jim remembers at 4 and 6 years old how his Uncle Benjamin would say that his father, Ryan, did some rather foolhardy things during World War II that could have gotten him killed. Damn imbecile had a death wish. And that's what Jim's saying. And JR, you can comment on this. Well, I was teaching law one week in the fall of 2004. It came to the level constantly for a few days. Dad went into came to Lubbock. He went and confessed to Reverend Dickerson. And it was through discussions with the Reverend that the Reverend helped him see that his father was a hero, not a coward. And that it came home. And Daddy came home and hugged me and apologized for all the wrong he said and the bad things he said about his daddy and his family. But it didn't stop him from being a hard man. He went off running. Working around like hell for his dying day. Yeah. But it wasn't for... If it wasn't for Mama and Dr. Bertrand in 2009, he'd been working with butt strapped to a rig. 5 a.m. Eastern in Raleigh. Jim is at the Lipscomb Mansion Library. There. A complete selection of the works of Dr. Charles Stanley. A computer with complete BBS and basic internet access. Books on propaganda theory and society. His own and others of his contemporaries. The library was right between the playroom and the back lounge. There was a refrigerator there where you could microwave some ready-made barbecue wings, and several beers were on tap. At the end, towards the front of the library, was the master bedroom. Okay, 9 a.m. Eastern. Okay, the convention's open to full session. Senator Alex Romy is the keynote speaker, you know. He's saying that the Democratic Party was no longer the party of JFK. And then, you know, the new Democrat that Bill Clinton was not good. Okay, so it's 9:15 a.m. Central. In the Smith Hall Library, JR is getting himself ready to go see Dr. Kinghorn, and he gets a call. And it's his cousin Forever. And Forever's like, hey, please tell me that you had nothing to do with Sarge signing with this Red River Layton deal. And JR said, he's like, look, The day I entered Texas Tech in 1992 is a day that I stopped caring about the oil industry. No, I wouldn't recommend this for Sarge. And forever believes him. She says, well, thank you, cousin. I wasn't for sure. I thought it might have been you. But now I know that I'm wrong. And Jared says, take care of yourself. Will you? Mama and Daddy will be back on Saturday. They can talk to him about it then. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Eastern. And it's at the Ascension Christian College Library. And Amy Kathleen is studying, and little brother Hannon shows up. And Amy Kathleen talks to her, what are you doing here? She said, well, and he's like, Hannon's like real loud, hey sis, and Amy Kathleen's like, shh, inside boys, Hannon, what are you doing here? And Hannon says, you should join me and Mama for lunch. And Amy Kathleen said, I told you I can't. My finals start Friday. You're the lucky one. You and Daddy and Mama and Grandma get to fly back home Friday. And Hannon's like, yeah, well, sis, El Paso Christian Academy doesn't get out until around the 25th of May. Okay, 1 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy are enjoying an hour and a half in the ocean on the small yacht owned by Walter Lipscomb. It was bought in 1977. Parties happen there, particularly on the weekend. Lipscomb got very drunk, plunged into the ocean. And, of course, Lipscomb had told Jim, hey, I'd gone since then. Okay, so it's 1:10 p.m. Central. Brent brings in Taco Villa from Smith Hall and sits down and has lunch. Now, Taco Villa is kind of a West Texas thing. But you know what all we West Texas also like? We like Chick-fil-A. JR, that's your cue. Cowboys like Chick-fil-A sandwiches and old J.R. Ewing. Sometimes I like their sauce on the sandwiches. You're gonna get the perspective that we West Texans are mostly conservative, so get used to that. So all of a sudden, Brent's, he takes out his telephone, and Brent, he picks up the phone and makes a call. And he says, hello, Mama. He said, I'm going to spend some time. I miss you too. Very much. Listen, I leave for Fort Worth Friday at around 1:30. If you can be there, if the combo apartment you and Granddad set up for me, I would greatly appreciate it. There. After graduation in 1996, Brent would according to the custom of Jesse's family, went to job with the Fargo North Republican online BBS paper. Because, see, he and Jesse had to separate for a time. He and Jesse was married 6 days after Mike's 6 days after Mike's wife, Kristen, and I would, of course, their marriage finished around Halloween 2018. Poor Brent has had an unsuccessful dating history. So, he lives with me on the ranch since 2021. 3:35 p.m. Eastern. Upstairs in the Hendrick mansion, Christine and Amy Kathleen talk. It's just nice to be a family and finally get along, Amy Kathleen says. Say, you want to join me for dinner tonight with Mom and Dad? Well, I don't know, Christine said. I'm supposed to have dinner tonight with Jennifer, Heather, and Monica. But heck with it. Heather is being a loser anyway, so I'll just cancel. Okay, Christine's being a class act right there. Okay, 5 p.m. Eastern. Salmon patties are for dinner at the home of Walter Lipscomb. Lipscomb would be in Raleigh at 9 o'clock in the morning and would be presenting a seminar speech tomorrow at 3 p.m. Bill Brittley would also be there tomorrow and giving a speech as well. 5:20 p.m. Eastern. Seeing JR standing outside Sneed Hall looking at Allison and Chuck arm in arm walk around campus, and seeing JR wanting to talk to Charlie Nation. Carmen Ortez gets Lucinda to pick up JR and take him to the Texas Tech Club, where JR's Uncle Tom has always had a private room for them. JR ordered a hamburger steak, no gravy, fries, and a tall glass of Dr. Pepper. Carmen gets a Mexican plate with chipotle and jalapenos. And he says, "Talk to me, James." And Jared says, Glad these maddening classes are almost over. Not to mention, I know Jennifer is in London, having the time of her life. Gotten emails. Her daddy says that she's taking history of political communications. Carmen sit up straight from the booth. First thing, put Jennifer behind you. I'm taking you to see Bruce Kinghorn tomorrow for a recommended book list. Also, thank you. We need to keep you alive in BC. The education that you're going to be doing there. And think about that. And traveling throughout the country. Think of your new budding relationship with Karen Crider. I know that old man don't like it. Never mind him. I met Carmen Ortiz at the Go Pack Convention in New Orleans. And when Daddy found out from his cousin, Carmen Ortiz, that he needed a job, Daddy hired him to look after me. Pretty interesting, I might say. Now, it is the next day. It's 1 p.m. Eastern, rather. Just off the coast of Raleigh. Jim is having a big plate of spaghetti with Betsy on the yacht of Bill, Bernard, and Peggy Bradley. Also, with these was Bernard Jr. and his wife Jacqueline West. Bernard Jr. was now a wealthy precious metals broker. And like father, like son, he was also a giant in network marketing. 2 p.m. Holden Hall. JR is in the office of Bruce Kinghorn, the man who would be known affectionately for 27 years hereafter as Dr. Policy, to receive his summer reading list. Well, I'm sorry. I'm late, Dr. Kinghorn, Jared said. Readings to keep me sane from the family web. History of propaganda. History of propaganda philosophy. Lipscomb's Godly Society. Maxey's propaganda theory. Not to mention David Koch's advocacy and publicity theory. I won't let you down, Dr. Kinghorn. And Dr. Kinghorn pats him on the shoulder and says, I already know that because you're not in Harmon's back pocket. You're going to be great someday, son. Okay, so it's 4 p.m. Eastern, Raleigh. The convention is in full swing, and now it's at the final hour of the afternoon, before evening recess. This morning at 9:30, Jim and the participants heard from Bernard Britley, businessman and commentator. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, they heard from Walt Lipscomb. Now, they were hearing from Danielle West, the small business administrator from Raleigh, North Carolina. In a few weeks, she would be succeeded by another conservative, Arthur King. Jim had become fond of Danielle West and wondered why she was leaving. In her speech, she said so. She was taking a professorship in entrepreneurial affairs at Duke University. Entrepreneurial affairs and finances. Dad told me some years later that she resigned, but because she could no longer get along with Governor Hunt and President Clinton working together. 5 p.m. Central. JR joins Allison for dinner at Pumpy Subs. Saw Chuck the other day, JR said. I have to go away, Allison said. And JR said, heard from Jennifer by email. Taking an intro to law and public policy, macroeconomic policy, quantitative reasoning in public affairs. Oh, she's going to be ready for her senior year at Rice University. And so Allison hugs JR and puts a medallion on his neck. And she says, Jennifer would want you to have this. Now I hear the honking of the horn. Chuck is waiting for me. I'm not. Oh my God. This Chuck dude is impatient. Wants me to drink, makes me want to drink some root beer. JR, I saw her walk out slowly, looking behind her with sadness in the eyes. But I also knew that she jumped in the car, in that car with Chuck, with confidence, knowing that by the summer of 1996, they would be married and spending a honeymoon in Cancun. That brought along my little prediction that Allison would also marry around that same time and on honeymoon in Cancun. Now Karen, she was On the inside, I knew I could proceed on to Karen Crider. 8 p.m. Eastern. A banquet takes place in the Raleigh Convention Center. A bone-in ribeye, baked potatoes, asparagus, and preserved pecan pie with a choice of beer or wine, with candlelight dinner. Bernard Britley was the platform speaker for that evening. Okay, it's a third. Jim is dreaming. It's flashback, January 7th, 1980.
Morning, Jim. Some coffee?
Hello, my dear.
What do you got going on?
Well, Secretary and I we're driving out to Seagraves to check out that rig.
Wish you didn't have to go.
Honey, JR's going to be back in school. No doubt Kyle is getting on his digs and going to want to be out in the field with Granddad or who knows where. I've got to get back to work, honey.
No doubt sleeping with your secretary, Miss Osborne?
Oh, now, come on, Betsy, don't start in on me, please. All right? I told you my creeping days are over. Jim! Yes, sir? Don't you forget about that society party tonight, you hear? I promise you, sir, I won't forget. Carol? They did get to Seagraves only to find out that the old LM shut down the well. Stopping off at a liquor store shop in Indiana. Little town between Andrews and Seminole, and got tipsy. He missed a society party, and that made Granddad very angry. And he threatened to throw Daddy off his ranch and file for divorce until Claude and Grandma told him, reminding him again, that Mama was pregnant with her third child, Christine, Daddy's daughter. 7 a.m. Central. Cinnamon rolls are for breakfast as JR sat down with Brent Clark, C.V. Coleman, and Stoney Rosen. At least you're not pining away for Allison. Like you did with Jennifer, CB said. You know, JR, you were kind of spitting with her. But the one thing I can say that I may disagree with your dad about a few things, but at least I think I like is the one thing I do like is that he weeded out Charlie Nation. Brent said. Anyway, Charlie was always such a bad loser who couldn't get prep school out of his mind, Stoney said. maybe this summer internship, JR, use this time in Washington, D.C. and travel in the country to get prep school out of yours. And JR was kind of like, one thing at a time, gentlemen. Alice and I was crazy about her. I mean, no fooling. But I ain't gonna rebound her for Jennifer. Especially since I found out she's with Chuck. And Charlie, ever since the semester started, he was calling me a wuss and a loser. The econ professors are glad he's gonna be gone. And thirdly, prep school. 2 summers ago, Ken and I toured America with some friends of ours from prep school. I left that behind because too many kids from that school just wanted to party. Sorry, man, CB said. Hey, JR, you seen the Assemblies of Christ commercials? You know what we say. Right here we are family, Stoney said. I'm sorry, I didn't mean anything by it. Okay, so it's 11:15 a.m. and the governmental affairs class, Mrs. Cho is lecturing on what she would see subjects covered on the comprehensive final exam Friday morning at 10:30. Advocacy, legislative and policy implementation, government affairs, the global citizen, along with the relationship between shareholder management and thought leadership. Now, I knew today that Mr. McPherson had decided not to have a final review because the final was not comprehensive. And he said even optional. I would take the final at 1:30 on Friday in the main library, Center for Visually Impaired. Mrs. Cho would later transfer to Odessa University College beginning in August of 1996. In January 2001, she transferred over, working in public affairs for the Treasury Department. Married a congressional aide, a former Senator Cordell Wheeler, making her ways in moderate conservative circles. 1 p.m. Central. Now, JR is having a lunch. It's among the final lunches in Lubbock. Fried chicken with Karen Crider. She ordered it and brought it in. And they start talking about the plans. And she says, I've already dumped my boyfriend. Just going to be hard to say goodbye to this place. But Mom's asked me to move back home to get my MSW after my internship And Brad agrees. Poor dude is going to have to move back in with mommy, Karen says. I gotta say, kudos to Karen. I hear something here, and he says, you'll never see that happen with me. Once my brother moved back onto the ranch, I ventured I was never coming back to live there again, Jared said. And Karen says, oh, I was an ass and a fool to throw away what we could have had the first time. We can have something this time, Jared. Something really big, Karen says. And, okay, some of you who are not aware of the blindness world, in the 1990s, those that had, were legally blind, they had these machines that magnified things. And JR's was portable. He whips out his portable CCTV, the closed circuit TV, that he had just bought for his 25th birthday a few months ago. Hell yeah. I went and bought me one of these. And I'm going to read my summer readings when I'm not traveling on internship. Just face some of the crap going on with Daddy and Mama. Yeah, I'm sure of. It's going to happen again. I mean, you are going to have something big again with me. Believe that. I feel hard for JR. In fact, I feel hard for her, partly through the hellacious urging of Charlie, and through the family urges of Jim Bob Horton. Looking back now, even though I fondly remember some things about Horton, but one thing I knew is that he had a crush on Karen Crider, and he was annoyed, and that she would never have anything to do with him romantically. And why? Because he was inquisitive and eccentric at the same time. A deadly combination. Okay, so it's 3 p.m. Central. Allison and Dave Stratton are in the office of Dr. Kinghorn. Now, Kinghorn is writing a letter of recommendation for Allison's job as corporate government affairs consultant in Fort Worth. And he says, I'll tell you something, Allison. I think you did good joining yourself for the powerhouse. I think you may be joined by Powerhouse pretty soon. Hendrick Jr. I don't want him. I want him clear out of Hendrick Oil. And if J.R. Hendrick gets elected to Congress, so much the better, Kinghorn said. This will crush his father, that his firstborn son would rather be in politics than work for his company. Okay, so it's 1 p.m. Eastern at the Hendrick Mansion. Elizabeth Marie and Frank, they're making out. Making up and making out. Okay. 3:30 p.m. Central. JR is in his dorm living room studying for finals when a knock comes to the door. Once again, it's Charlie. Please accept my apology. I ruined your life, okay, JR? But I'm not like your brother Kyle. He put malice in your heart. If you're referring to my childhood and what happened in prep school, it'll do you good to get the hell out of here, Joe said. Let me check out that wound. And so Kevin McDonald, he walks in from his bathroom and he says, now, Charlie, you can stay here as long as you promise not to antagonize him. Just then, Carmen Ortez walks in. No, I think you best be leaving. Also, now, JR, I think you're listening to Father's puppet, Charlie said, leaving. Carl walks in. JR, get your digs. Carmen is going to start packing you up, and Donna and I are taking you to Cheddar's over on 54th Street. Of course, Donna ends up working late. 6 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy are invited to dinner in the home of Walt Lipscomb. His son, Albert, was there with his two-year-old daughter, Charlotte. The Lipscomb family was a consolation for Jim when Claude refused to fly up to Raleigh to be with him for a few days. 7 p.m. Central. At Cheddar's, most of the Henry family is there, except for Donna, who had to teach one last night in a sociology class. No, JR, your mama and daddy will be picking you up around 2 next week, next Wednesday. Warning, because what happened between you and Tyler this semester, he's going to be an ass. Get ready to get chewed out, Carl said. Your Uncle Carl and your mama's always been mad about him. Your daddy's always had a temper when things don't go his way. Grandma Mary said, I remember I was 6, and I came to spend the night. I remember I was 6. You came to spend the night with me and Kyle. I did something that your dad liked. And well, he scolded me for something that I didn't do. Your daddy said I couldn't come back for a long time. Oh, Max. Okay. This is Max, he says. I remember when I was 6, and I come to spend the night with you and Kyle. And I did something that your daddy didn't like. And well, he scolded me for something that I didn't do. Daddy said that I couldn't come back for a long time. Mom and Jessica said, that Uncle Jim and Daddy took a punch out over it. And Dad says, for him to go back to National, where he belongs. I remember Uncle Carl, you always hated him for the way he treated us kids sometimes, Gerald said. We don't usually have the same. He was how he was towards your mama after the honeymoon was over, Gerald. I must have beaten him to a pulp several times before leaving the house. And after that, I decided to go to Montana to be with Dad, Carl said. I used to defend your father because he's my son, Grandma Mary said. But when he came to D.C., things changed. I saw things for how he really was. He's kind of straight from his daddy, but he won't ever admit it. What was Grandpa like? Jared asked. Careful, but very angry. Nasty temper. Careful, but very angry. Nasty temper. That's why cancer took him, Carl said. At first, he could be caring and sweet until you get in his way, Grandma Mary said. When he come back from the war in the early years, he was so awesome. Then Korea came, and he showed me that the kindest thing to do was take the kids and leave. Divorce him. He kept his coin collection started just before the war, Carl said. 2 years after he died, stepmom sold it in order to pay for the bills. Now I hear from her son, David, that she may soon be dying. Okay. So now we got to go to May 4th. This is the home stretch, guys. Okay, so get ready. Don't know why the keyboard popped up. Okay, come on. Okay, 2:45 Eastern. Jim wakes up in the Lipscomb mansion. He knows that Walt is going to be on the Andrew House show today to strongly criticize President Clinton. Jim felt that Clinton didn't even seem to care. He admired JR for setting up a fundraiser drive for the school the School of Mass Communications at the Center for Public Affairs for victims of the Oklahoma City bombing. Now it's 4:10 a.m. Jim is having a dream. He fades off to sleep again. And dreams another dream. It's a flashback. Valentine's Day, 1980. Jim came home early from work with some roses and some pearls for Betsy. Only found that his wife, she's 5 months pregnant with Christine and despondent. And she's saying that he didn't even care. JR, do you know what was going on there? Well, hell, I was only 10 years old. And at that point, my grandparents, my parents' marriage, my granddad decided to shield me from it. He said, I'm not going to have you be like your daddy. 6:30 a.m. Central. Dave Smith and Kevin McDonald take JR for breakfast at Rosa's Cafe. After he orders his meal, he was on the phone briefly with Amy Kathleen and his sister Christine. Glad to see you two finally get along. That's about the only thing good that's going on in my life right now, Jared said. You relax. You'll be with us pretty soon, Forever says. Your internship doesn't start until the 30th. So, well, we can enjoy each other's company, Amy Kathleen says. Come on, cheer up, dork, Christine said. We'll all be together. And I'll tell you what. I know where you work. Down Smith Hall. I tell you what. I'll fax you some of these photos I have that I've had from the pageant. I'm going to go back to Capitol Hill next week. So Dave Smith came back to the table with their orders. JR, why so glum? Finals are upon us. You'll be in D.C. enjoying your family. Everything I do for the past 2 years changing, Jared said. Kevin McDonald spoke up. What is happening to you? Okay, so Jennifer turned down your marriage proposal. You just don't seem the same. Once the final is over, you're off to D.C. Be free. Okay, so it's 8 a.m. Eastern. Sarge takes Christine to school. Okay, Christine's like, look, Claude's being an idiot right now. He's annoying the crap out of Dad, not being there for him. I need you to talk to Daddy. Try to get you off this deal. Okay, so it's 9 a.m. Central. And this is a classroom from Dr. Kinghorn. It's a graduate. Not very often at Texas Tech. It's a political science classroom in the morning. Dr. Kinghorn is giving final instructions for his pro-seminar in American politics. Dr. Kinghorn discusses one of his pet undergraduate students who he has assigned to study propaganda over the summer. Okay, so it's 12 p.m. Eastern at the Hendrick Mansion. Trevor is making cheeseburgers for her, Sarge, and Christine. I mean, Kathleen, she's having lunch with her parents. Because they're taking Grandma Elizabeth and going to El Paso for 10 days. And Christine said, look, Sarge. No, Forever said, look, Sarge. We got a wedding to prepare for. And I just think Claude's got you in this real big in this deal. It's a problem. And so it says, Christine said, look, it's like I told you at breakfast. Okay? Dad is pretty pissed off at Claude right now. And, okay, so Sarge says, okay, I'll call after lunch and cancel the deal. And Christine says, don't cancel. She said, I just don't like you having to do these deals. Hasty's decisions on this deal until Daddy gets back. And Sarge, kind of spoiled, being friendly, Sarge is going to agree. Okay, so at Haskins, a posh restaurant in Washington, D.C., Amy Kathleen is having lunch with her parents. And so her dad says, okay, so the wedding is June the 8th next year. I think I can be around to give the bride away. And her mom says, well, have you thought about a maid of honor? And why not Christine? And then Kathleen's, oh, no. Christine's only in high school, you know. She's only in high school. And like her mom says, she's prone to serious migraines. And she says, well, and so Tom says, but JR and Jimmy don't get serious migraines. And Kathleen says, look, Aunt Betsy told me 7 years ago, it skips generations. You see, that she told me that Grandma Hendrick had real bad migraines. That's what Diane said. Okay, so, JR, you're inside. They were only partially right. One night in August, as I was getting ready to go back for my last year in law school, I had a real bad migraine. And Daddy told me to tough it up. But Mama put me in the family car to the condo in Odessa. And Jim Bob Horton's family brought me some medicine for my migraine. It was the only migraine that I ever had. Brought on by stress because of my divorce. Okay, finally, 12 p.m. Eastern and Central. It's the final session of the Texas Tech Public Affairs Society chapter, and JR taking a cheeseburger special from the Sneeze Snack Bar goes down to Smith Hall 120, where Dr. Kinghorn is discussing about economic development. Mr. Dr. Policy. Now, at the same time, 1 p.m. Eastern, Jim and Betsy have their lunch in the Raleigh home of Bernard and Peggy Britley. This afternoon, they would attend the National Entrepreneurial Association Convention. Okay. 1 p.m. Central. JR is packing his dorm room at Gordon Hall when his dorm telephone rings, and it's his daddy. Your Uncle Carl told us that Charlie is giving you problems again, Jim said. Nothing I can't handle. No, I'll be handling it next week. People are going to know that you don't cross Jim Hendrick. After exchanges of goodbye, JR hangs up the phone to discuss. He had called Karen, but she was not available. She was at the library, so he takes out his textbooks and starts to study. 3:40 p.m. Central. At Texas Tech, back at JR's room at Gordon Hall, Dave Smith walks in to find JR studying. Hey, I stopped by the Union and got you some graham crackers, David said. JR, are you okay? Ken ain't going with me this summer, JR said. Well, I think you need to know Calvin Broderson just got approved for an internship with the Heritage Foundation but he needs a place to stay. And Jr. said, oh, hell, Calvin can bunk with me. Okay, so this becomes a big twist. 4:20 p.m. Central. JR goes to the Union to buy dark chocolate Hershey bars. With him is Kevin McDonald and Dave Smith. This to be some of the last times that they be together. Okay, 6 p.m. Eastern. Meanwhile, in Raleigh, State Representative Robin Hayes made a speech to talk about taking the state back from the Democrats. Okay, 7:15 p.m. Eastern. The convention in Raleigh is in full swing, and Texas Congressman Alexander Byrd was talking about the need for faith-based initiatives for small business. Jim cheered him on. JR, from that day on, Daddy and the congressman became fast friends, fast allies. Alexander Byrd shut down some legislation for President Bill Clinton in December 1996, not long after the president decided to fire Daddy. 8 p.m. Central. JR had dinner with Dave Smith and then went to study at the library at Smith Hall. And then he headed back to the dorm, where in the living room he saw Kevin McDonald finishing his studies. Dave was in the library studying advanced microeconomic theory, Kevin said. Do you remember 2 spring semesters ago, just before finals, when I was trying to avoid hanging out with Brad? Me, you, and Dave, and Brent, and Ken went and stayed at this dude ranch for about 4 days. We went horseback riding, and we did a hay ride at midnight. Poor Dave. I remember he got hay in his hair. We got back to campus, and the doctor put him directly into the hospital because of severe hay fever and allergies leading to bronchitis. Kevin stood up from his chair and faced JR, who was sitting on the couch. Yeah, I remember Dave was pissed off at you and said, no more dude ranch attendance. His fault for sitting with that Mexican senorita on that hay ride. All because he didn't want Jim Bob Horton sitting with her. Things are going to change around here this fall, Daryl. You know that. We get the same suite, but it's just you and me sharing the place. The thing is, we can have some parties and no Charlie Nation. Promise me, and I'm going to make sure you keep it this time. That if Karen Crider dumps you, and it's more likely going to happen, that you're going to hold up in this place. I will not let you lose control, JR. 9 p.m. JR is lying down when his cell phone rings. It's Jennifer's father from London. He said that JR needed to talk to Jennifer sometime tomorrow. Whew. Oh my gosh, heavy times. Hope you enjoy listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Cons, gentlemen. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the James Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. The ride gets a bit more bumpier from here.